They thought she was just a quiet woman always polishing a rifle she never fired. But deep inside the forest, when 24 Navy SEALs were surrounded by 100 hungry wolves, silence broke into thunder. One shot cracked the night, and the pack learned what everyone else had ignored. The woman in the shadows was the deadliest among them. They called her nothing at all. While the men in the unit traded jokes and sharpened knives by the fire, she sat in the corner with a rag and an oil kit running the cloth over the black steel of her rifle again and again. No one paid her attention, and if they did, it was with a smirk. "Still polishing that thing, sweetheart? Maybe someday we'll let you fire it." The words rolled off their tongues as casually as the smoke from their cigarettes. She never replied. She only kept cleaning, patient and silent, as though the weapon in her hands were an extension of her very breath. Her name was Elena Cruz, though most didn't bother to use it. To the SEALs she accompanied into the dense forests of Eastern Europe, she was background noise, a supply handler, a mechanic, someone who tagged along because command had paperwork to fill. She said little, kept her hair bound tight beneath a cap, and never challenged their assumptions. She only polished steel, watching and waiting. The mission was supposed to be simple, a reconnaissance sweep through uncharted woodland, deep valleys where satellite imagery was useless beneath thick canopy. But the forest was alive in ways they hadn't anticipated. Long before the first wolf appeared, they felt the silence closing in, the birds gone, the undergrowth still. It started with eyes, dozens of them, glinting green in the firelight as dusk melted into night. Then came the howls. One, then three, then a chorus rolling through the trees until the very earth seemed to vibrate. Wolves, dozens at least. The unit tightened its circle rifles, lifted nerves, stretched thin. Captain Hayes muttered under his breath. "We've got a problem." Problem was an understatement. Wolves didn't gather in such numbers unless driven by hunger, and hunger makes them fearless. The team counted at least 50 shapes weaving between trunks, circling closer with every pass. Ammunition was limited. Fire would draw them, not scatter them. The first rush came just before midnight. A blur of fur and teeth broke from the tree-lined jaws flashing toward the perimeter. Gunfire erupted, short, panicked bursts that shattered the night. A wolf spun mid-air dead, but another slid in beneath the hail of bullets and clamped onto a man's leg. He screamed, kicking wildly until his partner shot the animal point blank. Blood spattered across leaves. The circle wavered. The wolves didn't retreat. They were testing, probing, learning. Through it all, Elena crouched near the supply packs, still silent hands resting on the rifle she had spent months tending. Her eyes moved with the shadows. She measured distances, wind, and angles as if she were still back in the armory, invisible to everyone else. When the second wave hit, the SEALs began to break. Ammunition poured into the darkness, muzzle flashes strobing against tree trunks. But there were too many, and for every wolf that fell, 2 more darted in from the blind spots. Captain Hayes barked into the radio for extraction, but static replied. The canopy overhead was too thick. No helicopters could see them. No drones could map their positions. They were alone, 20 men, against an endless tide of fur and teeth. Someone shouted, half mad with fear, "We won't last an hour." That was when Elena made her choice. She remembered her grandfather's voice carried from the mountains of Colorado, where she had grown up hunting mule deer at high altitudes. "One shot that counts is worth more than 100 wasted. The forest belongs to the patient." She rose without a word. The men hardly noticed at first. Then a single thunderous crack tore through the chaos. The wolf leaping toward the circle collapsed mid-air, its momentum broken in an instant. Silence rippled outward for half a heartbeat. Elena worked the bolt with calm precision, exhaled, and fired again. Another wolf fell, then another. The SEALs froze. For months, the woman had been invisible to them, a ghost with a rag and oil can. Now she moved like a predator among predators, slipping between shadows, never firing from the same spot twice. Her rifle spoke with steady rhythm, measured, deliberate, final. She did not spray bullets. She placed them. One into the alpha female driving the pack from behind, another through the chest of a brute that had broken the line. Each shot cracked like judgment from the treetops. Captain Hayes spun toward her astonished. "Where the hell did you—" But she was already gone, sliding between boulders, repositioning sight pressed to scope. The wolves faltered. Animals knew fear, and whatever invisible force was cutting them down from the darkness was something primal they could not face. Their howls shifted no longer hungry, but uncertain. Packs rely on leaders, and Elena hunted those leaders first. One by one, the driving forces of the assault dropped into the ferns, blood steaming in the cold night air. Minutes stretched like hours. The SEALs fired less and less, conserving ammunition, watching in disbelief as the tide turned. Every time a wolf lunged, a shot cracked from somewhere unseen, and the attack dissolved. At last, the alpha male appeared, a hulking shape with eyes burning like coals. It stepped into the open teeth, bared, daring the humans to challenge him. The forest held its breath. Elena's rifle steadied. She whispered into the silence, "Make it count." The shot echoed like thunder rolling through the valley. The alpha dropped where it stood. And just like that, the pack broke. Wolves melted into the trees, vanishing as quickly as they had come. Only the dead remained scattered in the ferns, steam rising from their bodies. The forest grew quiet again, eerily quiet, as though nothing had happened at all. For a long moment, no one spoke. The SEALs stared into the darkness, breathing hard, weapons slack in their hands. Then, slowly, every eye turned toward Elena. She stood at the edge of the clearing, rifle still warm against her shoulder, expression calm, almost indifferent. Without a word, she knelt and began wiping down the barrel with the same rag she had always used. Her motions were slow, deliberate, almost ritualistic. The silence from the men was different now. No more smirks, no more laughter. Only the stunned recognition that they were alive because of the woman they had dismissed. Captain Hayes approached her, his boots crunching on the blood-soaked leaves. He stopped searching for words. Finally, he said quietly, "We owe you everything." Helena looked up just once, her dark eyes steady. Then she returned to her work, sliding the cloth along steel until it gleamed again in the faint firelight. The men never called her invisible after that night. They never questioned why she sat alone polishing steel while others laughed. Because they knew. When the forest turns hostile, when the circle tightens and death closes in, it is not the loudest voice or the strongest arm that saves you. It is the silent one, the shadow in the corner, the woman who has been waiting all along. And she will make every shot count.